Full Circle Wellness community? We are back, and we're back in the studio for our studio real talk this week. I'm here, it's your girl Leah. I've got a lot of stuff to share. I've got some good news. Ella is here. You can't see her. I bet you can hear her though, because she is going ham on a bone right now, so I apologize. I'm gonna have to figure it out with her, especially when I start trying to record this in podcast format. I need all kinds of stuff. I need to figure out what to do with the microphone and what to do with the headphones and how to separate the video from the audio and where to upload. Like, I got all the things. I did all the research, and we're gonna be starting on some of that coming up here like in a week, so just get excited for that. Anyway, we are back. We're back in the studio. We got the background, we got the me, we got the dog, and I remembered this week to bring a stuffy, you guys. I've been like skipping the stuffies. So this week we have Fiona with us. I've brought Fritz to the table before, both of which are from the Cincinnati Zoo, as you might know if you're from around here. And I just thought it would be nice to bring Fifi because she just had a birthday. I think it was like this week. It was like Monday, or maybe it was last week Monday. But this hippo in real life just turned 7. You would be maybe surprised, maybe not surprised to know how much I know about the animals at the Cincinnati Zoo, you guys. I am obsessed with the Cincinnati Zoo, and I have decided that like when I get older and I retire, I'm gonna be one of those like volunteer docents at the zoo that just sits there and stands in front of the manatee tank and tells you about the manatees and where they're from and all the other things, and the hippos and the otters. And speaking of the otters, you guys, little tangent fun story here. So otters are like my favorite animal, and for a while there has been construction at the Cincinnati Zoo going up sort of like the biggest hill that they have where like the polar bears used to be. And it was like, okay, we're rebuilding the polar bear exhibit. We're rebuilding, like, it's going to be black bears. It's going to be the whole thing, but it's also going to be like the otter kingdom. And I was like, oh man, okay, so the otters are just gone, right? No, the otters are not gone, you guys. I've been going to the zoo all year and had no idea that the river otters are over by the wolves, over behind the African penguins near the train. And I was like, what? I just found this out, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna need some good weather because I need to go back to the zoo and visit Sugar and Wesley, and then maybe just bring like a really big bag and tell them to sneak in and just take them home. I'm kidding, I'm not gonna take the otters from the zoo, but oh, that would be a dream. Anyway, we're back. We're having our conversation. I've got some notes for you guys tonight. I brought, some notes. Got my notebook here with me, and we're going to have our conversation about purpose and work and finances together, just because those two things really go hand in hand. I've got some separate things to say about each, but let's just start here. The reason I want to be like a docent or whatever they're called, the people that stand there and tell you about the animals at the zoo when I get older. Ella has made her way into them. I just love it. It's something that I'm really passionate about randomly. It fits nowhere else in my life. I'm not a zookeeper, but I just love animals. I love our zoo. I love communicating with people and talking about the animals. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten just standing there talking to some stranger about, yeah, well, that's John the lion, and, you know, that's Imani, and, you know, sometimes this and this, and I'll just go on, and these people are like, do you work here? No, I don't. No, I'm here a lot. I have a membership. I'm just here a lot. And I think that can kind of lead us a little bit into our conversation today, because when it comes to the work that you decide to do with your life, or anything that you decide to sort of devote your time to, whether that's on a voluntary basis or it's the job that pays your bills or whatever it is, it really should, I believe, should be something that you are just in. It's sort of like an extension of who you are, right? Like when I graduated from art school, I spent my whole life, literally, from the time I could pick up crayons, I've been an artist. Like, I would just make stories. I'd sit at my great grandma's house. I'd draw on my lined paper, and I was always drawing my fairies and my flowers and the big bacon, and I had the stories, and I was making all these illustrations and cartoons, and I was obsessed with the arts and communicating and storytelling. And then I took that very seriously. Like, I think starting in 8th grade, I started taking that pretty seriously. I had a teacher who was an artist herself, and she saw something in me and said, girl, you got to go to like art school one day. She was like, you got to take your arts seriously. In high school, you should look at going to an arts college. And I was like, that could be a life. Like, okay, I love the arts. As you can see, I'm surrounded by arts. If what you can't see are stacks of paintings over here in the corner that I've failed to sell, but the amount of them is pretty intense. A lot of this work behind me is mine. Some of it's not, some of it is. My dogs are growling at each other. Don't worry, they can't get to each other, but you might hear that. And I just graduated from art school, and then I just got a job. Like, I was serving still. I did serving through college. Like, everybody kind of ends up, I think, in serving or in retail, but I was serving through college. And then when I got out of college, I got a job at this real estate office, you guys. And if that sounds like it's not me, that's because it's not me. And I spent 4 years there really, really suffering with my mental health because it wasn't me. And I even tried to be like, oh, I'm going to go into like marketing, or I'm going to go into branding, or I'm going to maybe try to get a real estate license or do project management. Like, I started thinking of like all these low hanging fruits that I could, excuse me, like jump to from real estate, and none of it made sense. Like, none of it made sense for me. None of it made sense for who I am as a person. And that is about the same time that I found, like, I kind of started saying like, okay, I really need to do some healing work. Like, it all sort of was like happening all at once. The depression, the anxiety, like just being really deep into using alcohol and drugs to have fun, but also just really drown out the things that I was feeling about myself and about my life. And at the same time, I was kind of like, okay, I'm getting into personal development, and I found Work Bigger. I know I've talked about Work Bigger here before. I posted about it on the discussion board last week, and I did a course, and I worked with a coach, and we sort of determined that, like, no, girl, you need to put the artist cape back on and try to find a job in the creative field. So that's what I did. I started sort of just going like head on into teaching myself graphics, because I went to school for the fine arts. Like, I'm an abstract painter by trade. Like, I'm good at sort of drawing and painting and illustrating and things like that. But graphics was something that I had to teach myself, but I knew that I could get a job doing graphics, right? And I was like, I just want to work in the creative field. That's going to be what I do. That's sort of like my zone of excellence. And that sort of comment comes from The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I think I've talked about it before. If not, I need to post something about that, because that's such a good book, and I highly recommend it if you are feeling like you sort of upper limit yourself. Anyway, I'll get away from that. So I got this job coming out of the real estate office. I finally got a job in the creative field, and I think I've talked about this before too. It was at this art consultancy, and if you have ever seen The Devil Wears Prada and you know who Miranda Priestley is, like, that was my boss for a year, and it was absolute bullshit. I learned a lot. I grew in terms of using like the creative programs, InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, like all of those things. But the boss was batshit, and the team was great, actually. We kind of had a lot of turnover, but I got to meet some really cool people, lots of young kids. And when I say young kids, it's just like they were younger than me because they were still in college. They were interns, you know, I was out of college for a while already. So I had that job, and then now I have the job that I have now as a senior graphic designer, and I design and create board games, and we're actually developing some new stuff, and it's just like a whole thing. And I'm starting to feel this like drag, and it's like a wall that I'm hitting again. And that, I think, is where getting back into trying to do something that gives me purpose as opposed to just something that pays my bills, because I'm an artist by like talent. I mean, I did work very hard. I went to school. I spent a lot of time understanding and learning how to make art, create, and just to create a vision and communicate visually. So I'm not going to like sell myself short here, but it is something I was kind of born with. And so I like to think of it as sort of this zone of excellence or competence, if I would say. It's just something I'm very good at. But now that I'm like deep in it, and that is my career, I'm realizing that that was never the sort of like problem, because the work that I was doing and the work that I'm still doing, it really isn't purpose driven. Like, as great as it is to say that I design board games and, you know, families take those home and they love them, and I'm sort of telling a story with the game, and it's, you know, it's great and whatever, but it's not giving me that sense of purpose that I think that work should provide for us. And here's the thing, you guys. that's hard to find. And I have had people say that's not real. Like, that doesn't exist. My partner, Greg, he's one of those people. He's like, no, work is almost always just going to be a job. There is no unicorn job out there that says that's going to fill all the slots of making you feel like you're purpose driven, et cetera, et cetera. I disagree. I think it takes work and a lot of sort of like, we'll say, manifesting to find that. It takes a lot of digging. It takes a lot of understanding who you are and the kind of work that you want to do to get to that place. And sometimes it takes simply having a side project or doing some volunteer work. Now, this right now is kind of my side project. I'm starting the podcast. I'm running this community. I'm doing a lot of writing. I've got some big things coming. I kind of mentioned it this week. I'll keep talking about that. I'm going to just announce some stuff and share some stuff next week so you guys get really excited for that, because I'm really excited. I've been working on some really cool stuff. Changing the format of the email. I can't believe I've been doing this so consistently for like a while. I'm just like, oh my God, this is happening. But I feel really passionate about this work. I have always had sort of I keep saying the word passion and I feel like it's like cheesy, but like I've always had this like deep interest in personal development, growing as a person, working on yourself, becoming the next best version of yourself, like mindset and mental health. Like all of that is stuff that I can talk about it forever, as you know, because I'm so verbose and I sit here and I chat and I chat and I chat and we get up to 45, 50 minutes doing this. But that's why I was like, okay, I want to put this into like a podcast format because I think it might resonate with some people. And maybe I would love to do video format because, you know, you see me right now. I got the hands, I got the personality. Like my grandma's always like, you just need to be on TV. I'm like, Grandma, I'm not going to be on TV, but I appreciate you. Anyway, all that to say, this is something that's very passionate for me. So to have this in my life fills a hole that my job doesn't necessarily fill. And while my job certainly pays the bills and affords me a certain like level of lifestyle, it isn't the sort of like purpose that I feel coming from this work. Because I think with this work, because I've done so much work like on myself and climbed a lot of mountains and done a lot of things with my mental health and pushed myself out of my comfort zone and made a lot of strides in my personal life, I feel like I'm to a place where I can start to share that wisdom with others. And when I was going through that, people like that were the people that I leaned on, right? It was the authors, it was the podcast hosts, it was the people out there talking about how they did it, the journey they took to heal. And it's like, okay, I want to be that for the next person that's in the hole, feeling depressed, dealing with the anxiety, doesn't know where to go, they feel stuck, their mindset is off. I would really hope to be the next person for that. So that's why purpose and work. Purpose and work, I think when you kind of get to that place, we just sort of discarded the stuff. That's fine. When you get to a place where you feel like, I'm talking about my cup is full now. Like I take care of myself. I feel good. I'm like rocking the outfits. I'm taking care of myself. I'm, working out. My physical fitness is good. My energy is up. I take care of my nutrition. Tangent, you guys. Okay. So last video we talked about, we were talking about fitness and nutrition, and I let you guys know that I had some medical stuff going on. It's been 2 weeks and I finally got a new set of labs. I did that yesterday and then I got the labs back today. And you guys, I feel so relieved. My metabolic panel came back completely normal. The creatinine levels were back down. The EGFR levels were back down. The glucose was back down. The BUN numbers, everything was back to normal. And I was just like, okay, so no more protein powders. That's clearly what was going on there. However, I will say my SED rates were off the chart, and what was the other number? C-reactive protein. And those numbers were just insane. But what they indicate is that there's a lot of inflammation in my body. So right now I am shifting gears, letting my coach she's a nutritionist, dietitian, like she's got a dietitian on deck, and she's a fitness coach and nutrition coach. I'm letting her know what's going on. So she's helping me really alter my diet and just hone in on like, okay, what's getting us inflamed? Let's maybe cut back on a lot of the processed carbs and things like that. So I'm good, you guys, and everything's going to be fine. So I just thought I would let you know that everything is going to work out. So anyway, when we get to that place, we're like getting healed, and now you've got like this energy, and it's like you are ready to give back. Like that's where I got to. Now I'm like, okay, I always knew that I wanted to kind of like, this sounds maybe cheesy, but it's like I always knew I wanted to kind of be an entrepreneur or start a business or figure out how to sort of become my own boss. And I thought it was going to happen in the arts. And I just don't think that that's the answer. I certainly am using my graphic skills to do a lot of this work and produce a lot of the content that I give to you guys, things like the ebook, the workbook, and things like that. But it didn't become just like my paintings. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I had to kind of accept that, shift gears. And it's like, I think when you follow the purpose, that's more important than like the thing that you do. The mission is more important. And that was one of those things that I learned from my first coach, Belma, with Work Bigger. We talked about let the mission lead you. Don't attach yourself necessarily to a specific role or a specific company or a specific thing. Let the mission and the purpose be the thing that drives like what you ultimately do. And I think work should be sort of like a moment of self-actualization. Like if you've ever seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You feel it's like the basic needs first, you know, food, water, shelter, and then you've got like love and friendship or something, and there's several layers, and I'll be honest, I forget like what they exactly are, but the top level is self-actualization. You are the best version of yourself. Everything that you do is sort of an expression of the you that is you, and I believe that work should be that too. And if it's not necessarily your job, maybe you're sitting there and you're saying, you know, dude, my job is just a job. I just got to pay my bills. Okay, I get that saying, girl. Do you have something else in your life that is fulfilling you in that way though? Like, do you have something else in your life? Like I said, a hobby or a volunteer work or a group or something like that that's gonna feed that purpose center for you? Because I think when you're giving back and it's giving back to you, it's just this like, it's flowing, you guys. There's just a flow that gets created. And I think that's why I've got that as a piece of the Full Circle Wellness Pie, because when I was doing work that was not only like, it had nothing to do with the creative arts. Like I at least now have a job that's like creative for me. It at least feeds, you know, my talents. Prior to that, when I was working a job that didn't do any of that, I was in the gutter. Like that was not good for my mental health. I was not vibing. I was resentful. And I think that is part of your wellness. That's part of your whole wellness. That if you don't enjoy your job, the thing that you do for like a third of your life, if not more, some people these days work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. Like they're just pulling overtime, doing a lot, putting themselves into this work that they do. And if you don't enjoy that, it's going to burn you out and deplete you and make you resentful so fast. And that is so horrible for your mental health. It's horrible for your physical health. So that is why this is all a part of the Full Circle Wellness model, the framework, the pie of life that I've like put together. And I think that that is just so important that we do something about that. I think a lot of people get to that point and they're like, yeah, but it's my job. I can't do anything about it. And you guys know what I always like to say. If you believe you can't, you can't. Like if you're not even going to look for a solution or get into creative possibilities, no, you're not going to make a change. But if you believe that you can, if you start asking yourself how, I swear to God, the universe is going to show up in mysterious ways and walk you out of where you don't want to be and into where you need to be. Because that, I've experienced it. When I got the job that I have now, I can't tell you how many times I told Greg that I was wanting a creative job that had decent benefits with normal hours and good people. And he was like, and like no office drama. Like I was like, the environment can't be toxic. The work has to be creative. I had all these sort of like criterion. And he was like, you're never going to find it. That just doesn't exist in your field. And I was like, watch me. I was like, I believe that I will find it. And seriously, the series of events that sort of brewed together to get me in this job that I have now, synchronicity. The universe had a hand in that. I absolutely believe it. I always get with the woo-woo, you guys. I'm serious. Like, I was like, I put out that vibe and I kept looking and I interviewed all kinds of places and I was like, this isn't the right fit. I was like, this isn't going to work. I even had a job tell me like, we'd love to give you the job, but we think you're beyond this. they were like, this is a graphic job, but it's a lot of just drag and drop, and you seem like a really creative, outgoing person, and they were like, we think you'd be bored here. We'd be happy to have you. We really want to fill the position. We like you, but we think that you would not like this job. And I was like, you're probably right. Okay, that's fine. Respect. Thanks for telling me. And I didn't get the job there. And I didn't take it. And they were like, that's all good. No, water under the bridge. And then, a couple of other, job interviews and things like that. And then I ended up landing where I'm landing now. And it just, synchronicity, you guys, it just happens. So anyway, another thing that I wanted to touch on with this, kind of in relation to the work that I'm doing here with you guys. This has been a dream that has been on my heart for a long time. Getting in front of people. I'll tell you, and it literally comes from childhood. I can't tell you how many times I asked my mom to pick up a video camera and just film me doing something silly or goofy or whatever. Like, I always wanted to kind of entertain and just bring the personality and talk and chat with you guys. Like, I love to just talk about stuff. Like, you get that from me, right? I hope so. And I just think when a dream like that has been on your heart, it's on your heart for a reason. I'm woo-woo. I believe in something bigger than myself. And I think that the universe, God, Spirit puts those things on our heart for a reason. That's why the vision is mine. So when I say I have a vision for launching a podcast and writing a book and building this community and doing all of these things, and somebody else says, like, you're never going to make that happen. Like, there's so many people, the field is so saturated, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't believe that, because I believe this dream is on my heart for a reason. It's not on yours. You don't see the vision because it's not your vision. Your vision is something else that doesn't make mine wrong. And I'm not going to tell you your vision is wrong. Maybe you want to be the best, I don't know, marketing guru out there. Maybe you want to be a doctor. Like, maybe you want to be an architect. I don't know. I'm just throwing out job titles. But it's like, the dream is on your heart for a reason. And I think if you are, for instance, in a job that you hate, like, you really just, every day it's a drag, and you've got another dream on your heart. Man, I wish I could be a singer. I wish I could do X, Y, and Z with my art. I wish I could do, I don't know, start a talk show. Nowadays it's a podcast, less a talk show, but whatever. Like, I'm kind of throwing out some of my own dreams here, but like, whatever that dream is, maybe you want to be a crafter and do like craft fairs, like that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe you want to be a writer. I don't know. That dream is on your heart for a reason, girl. Follow it, sis. In tiny, tiny increments, like whatever you need to do. Get up an hour early and write. Get up an hour early and do the yoga. Like, whatever it is, take the time, make the time. Because the time's not going to make itself. There's only 24 hours in a day. We all get 24 hours in a day. We all have jobs. I have a job. I came home from work, changed into my cycling gear. I have cycle bar in 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap this up as quickly as possible because I don't want to be late to class. Everybody's got stuff going on. You sit and you make the time. I'm making the time for this right now. I could have been like, no, I'm not going to do it. And last week it was kind of that. Like, I was in a real bad place with my luteal phase. Typically it doesn't hit me so hard because I told you guys I do take an SSRI. I take medication for it. But I think just with everything that was going on medically, it hit me in the anxiety feels. It hit me in the depression feels. And it was just more than I could handle last week. And I was like, you know what? That's going to be okay. I'm going to combine purpose and finances. So anyway, we'll press forward. I just have to laugh at myself for a second because I'm like, no, let's be on track. Okay. Being of service feels good. I think being of service, like, I'm here, I'm doing this because, one, I'm having fun doing it. Joy is the ultimate creator. Joy is it's like the vibration of the universe. If you're in joy, you're doing the right thing. But I also want to be of service to you. I want to share information that I've garnered that might help you. I want to share my experiences. I want to share the things that I'm thinking about because I don't know who that's going to hit that needs to hear it today. And I think I've been on the receiving end of that so many times that I'm like, I can give that to somebody else. I want to show up and be of service in that way. I want to give back in a big way. And I think that creates this sense of compassion and connectedness, both of which are just big portions of what's called self energy in IFS therapy, that sort of like God energy, the universe energy, that source of love that's within you. I think being of service. So if you're showing up for others, like I said, maybe it's in your job role, maybe it's volunteer work, but I think that is key, because not only does it give when you're altruistic like that, it does feed your soul back. I think there's a big piece of that. And again, that's why it's part of the Full Circle Wellness Pie. So just a quick blip there on that. And then pouring yourself into a role that gives back and helping others. That's it. It's exactly what I said. Pour yourself into something that you love. That's what I'm doing here. And I really hope that you can find something in your life that you can do that with. Sometimes it's just being a mom, even. People say that that's like, it's a whole job. And honestly, I mean, I'm not a mom yet, but it kind of is. Like, I have a couple of friends that are moms, and they are the most amazing moms. Like, seriously, they show up for their sons and daughters like there's no tomorrow. My 2 friends that have kids right now, I'm just like, I hope I'm that good of a mom when I'm a mom, because I want to be a mom. Greg and I have talked about it. It's like, okay, maybe this is part of our future too. Let's do this thing. And I'm just like, that too, showing up, giving back to your family, giving back to your friends. It doesn't even have to be your job. Your purpose can be being the matriarch of your family. That is so like top-notch shit right there, ladies. That is crucial. That is tier. Like, being just a familial center, like a grounding center for your family. Yes. If that's you, yes to you. That's winning too. And I think that counts when it comes to fulfilling a purpose and having that sense of purpose in your life, and giving back to those around you from having your own cup being full. I think that's an important piece. We just need to keep throwing that in there. When it comes to giving back, make sure your cup is full first, you guys. That's what the Full Circle Wellness model is. Take care of your fitness, take care of your nutrition, take care of your mental health, fill your cup so that you can pour from a full cup into others. Okay. We talked about Full Circle Wellness being my purpose. And then now I also wanted to take a minute to tell you guys what's coming next. So I already mentioned that I really want to take this in the podcast direction, and I'm going to start that next week. This is going to be the last video that is like isolated to this group. Next week's video is going to be popping off on the YouTube channel. You guys are still going to get it here, but it's going to start being like the thing that I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing now. We're doing a podcast. What is it called? Let's talk about it. That's it. Let's talk about it. That's what I've decided on. Let's talk about it. What are we talking about? All kinds of things. We're talking about everything that I like, everything that I care about, everything that I want to share with you guys. The podcast is officially coming. Along with the podcast officially coming, I have something juicy that I've been working on for you guys next week. Also coming, like the whole theme of next week. I'm not going to announce it yet. I'll just sneak that out there. The whole theme of next week is going to be, it ties right into the start of the podcast. The thing that I'm offering for you guys, just get excited about that. Again, I don't want to give it away like right here, right now. And then I am altering the format of the email just a little bit. I will tell you guys about this. So if you've been getting the email that you've seen, there is like a weekly affirmation. There's a journal prompt, which I sometimes post here, so we can talk about the quote. There's like the recipe, the card pull, the recommendation, like all of that is in the email. So I have consolidated the quote, affirmation, and journal prompt into a nice PDF worksheet that is all 3 of those in one. It can be filled out on the computer, or you can print it and handwrite it, save them. I don't know what you want to do. I love that kind of stuff. I find it, from others all the time. I'm still in that. I want to be kind of a coach. I am also still incredibly coachable. Like, I love to work with other coaches and constantly work on my own personal growth. And that's kind of, I think, important when you're trying to help other people do the same. So that is something I love. I hope you guys love it. I've consolidated that. And then I'm actively writing on the blog. So I've added that as like a slot in the email. I also post it here on the discussion board. So you guys are going to constantly be seeing new blog posts coming. Check those out when you get the chance. Those are right on the Full Circle Wellness website. I was going to take the resource page down, and I think I put it back in on the website, where I was sort of just gathering a list of apps that I've used or apps that I still use that work for me in terms of Full Circle Wellness, books, articles, other websites, just all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm just sort of growing that list for you guys as something you can always reference, you want to find a book on, and I have it broken down by mind, body, and spirit, which are sort of the 3 core areas that all of the 8 slices like fall into. There's still the workbook out there for free, completely for free on the offerings page. And then if you would love to share this with somebody else, I would so greatly appreciate it. Share the group, invite your friends, share the website. If you dig this and you think you've got a friend that would dig it too, please share it. And then when I get all the other stuff going, it's going to be the usual. Please like, subscribe, and post this to your story, because I would love to just share this with the world. I want to get this work out there. And ultimately, that takes us into our conversation on finances. So real quick, just a couple things, because at the end of the day, I am not a finance expert. I'm far from it. But the mindset is what I'm talking about here. So you can find anything online about how to make a budget and honestly, stuff like that. It's all about what's going to work for you. I am such a Virgo. I love a spreadsheet. The spreadsheets are deep when it comes to my finances. But it took me working on my mindset to get to that place, right? So when it comes to finances, you either really are kind of coming from a fear-based scarcity mindset, or you're coming from an abundance mindset. And you want to be coming from an abundance mindset, because when you are in scarcity mindset, you are going to let money burn a hole in your pocket. You're going to think subconsciously, oh, I better spend my money when I get it because I don't know when it's coming back to me. And you really want to be in a better relationship with your money, where you sort of like treat your money well. When I read You Are a Badass at Making Money, I posted it in the discussion this week. Definitely check that book out if you have any issues with money mindset, I swear. Some of the prompts were so cheesy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, she has you write a love letter to money, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this in my journal right now. But seriously, it helps, because it made me realize that if I treat my money well, it's going to be there. Save first, pay your bills first, set up things like sinking funds, and then you realize, oh my God, I have plenty of money. I just wasn't managing it properly. I was throwing it away on a sweater I didn't need, and bullshit that I don't need to spend my money on, and eating out all the time, and all of this stuff. And it's when you actually sit down and manage your money properly, you probably have way more than you think you do. I'll be straight with you right now. I have a salaried position at I think $52,000 a year, and after taxes, that is just around 40. It might even be less than 40 a year. So I'm working with $40,000 a year. And I have a mortgage. We mortgage our home. I do not have a car note. Fortunately, I just got out of credit card debt, you guys. It was it's so exciting. But I do have some other debt. I have my student loan debt. And then it's everything else is just some kind of bill that honestly I could drop if I wanted to. Things Netflix and stuff like that. Of course, I have cell phone, car insurance, we have home insurance, but all of that, the home insurance we just bundle that into the total that is the mortgage total. And it's once you kind of decide and see okay, here's what the bills are, here's what the expenses look like. I like to do in a spreadsheet when those come out, it's the day it comes out, and if it's automated or if I have to manually get that money somewhere, what the thing is and what the total is, so I can see total expenses for the month. And it's okay, I just try to keep that number, so to speak, in check. I'm all right, I can't be subscribing to this thing because that's going to add $50 to my bottom line. We're not going to do that. I don't care if I want it. I got to get the emotion. This is just numbers on a page. The emotions, that's what the mindset is about. The mindset is about, you got to get the emotions out of the equation. You got to stop feeling pissed because you can't afford this lifestyle that's up here, and you want to be in this lifestyle that's up here, but your money is actually down here. You got to find a way to live within your means. And I think before I started working on money mindset, that was a thing for me. It was I was offended that I couldn't live outside of my means. That's an internal thing. That's something you got to work on. I'm just here to tell you that. I'm always coming from the mindset place. I'm always coming from the emotional place. And that's really kind of all I've got to say about finances, because when it comes to high yield savings accounts and doing the sinking funds, I mean, I could touch on it a little bit, but again, I'm not the finance expert. I lean on the experts now because I've done the internal work and I'm like, okay, now you just tell me what to do with the numbers and I'll figure this out. That's how I slayed literally a maxed out credit card last year. I was like, this is gonna be my year of no. The only thing I let myself do that was like really big was go to the Eras tour. I went with my girlfriends. It was the best night of my life. Everything else was like, no, I can skip that dinner. No, I'm gonna say no to the Beyonce concert. No, I'm gonna say no to that other concert. Like, I was like a year of no. Started doing groceries, cooking everything, just checked in on the finances. I did get some help from Greg. I'm not going to like lie to you guys about that. I have to be transparent here. I have a partner who does make more than me and he helped me out, but I still owe him that money. So it's like not just free and clear, but we killed the credit card in January of this year. So it's just a matter of getting right in here so you can take care of the tactics, because the tactics are actually freaking easy, you guys. Again, Ashley Feinstein Garsley, Financial Adulting, amazing book. You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And then I think when it comes to deciding where you want to put your funds and how you want to live what's called like your version of a rich life, I'm also going to recommend the work of Ramit Sethi. He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I believe his podcast is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And I think he's got a Netflix special, but he has amazing ideas on spending money and living your idea of a rich life, like deciding where you want to spend your funds and not spend your funds. So that said, my class starts in 15 minutes, so I am outie, you guys. It was great sitting here talking to you. I feel like I talked a mile a minute. If you have any questions, hit me in the chat. Let me know what you think, and I will be back next week with the official podcast. We've got big things coming, announcements, email, the whole nine. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me. And seriously, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because this is something I really want to do. And I'm so glad that you guys are here supporting me and doing this dream. So, mwah, I love you and I will see you later.